My girlfriend left me for my boss because I was just an intern. 6 months later, she found out the company was mine. I was 27 when this all started, and at the time, I was doing an unpaid internship at a large international firm. One of those companies where the lobby alone could feed a small town for a week. My title? Intern. My real role? Observing everything quietly. The truth is, the internship was part of a long, boring process. My father owned the parent company. I wasn't doing it for money. I was doing it because I'd promised him I'd understand every level of the business before taking over. It wasn't a secret within the upper management, but I didn't exactly walk around introducing myself as the heir. Most people assumed I was just another overqualified guy trying to get a foot in the door. I was fine with that. I actually liked being invisible. You learn a lot when people underestimate you. My girlfriend, Anna, didn't see it that way. She was 26, ambitious, sharp-tongued, beautiful, the kind of person who measured success by titles, not by values. We'd been together almost 3 years, and things had been rocky for a while. Every dinner turned into a comparison. My friend's boyfriends make six figures. When will you get a real job? I'd smile and tell her, this is temporary. I'm working on something long-term. She'd sigh, roll her eyes, and mumble something about potential not paying rent. What she didn't know, what I never told her, was that I already owned the condo we lived in. I just let her think I was renting it. She insisted on splitting bills to keep things equal. Fine by me. Then came him, my immediate supervisor, Alan. Mid-40s, confident, loud, always flashing his Rolex when he spoke. The kind of guy who flirted too much at company parties and never took no for an answer. Anna met him once, at a dinner I brought her to. I caught the spark instantly. The way her laugh changed pitch, the way she straightened her posture, the way he looked at her like she was dessert. It was almost funny. A few weeks later, the distance started. The late meetings, the drinks with the girls, the forgot my phone charger at work. You know the script. I wasn't blind, just patient. Then came the night it all snapped. She came home at 10:30 p.m., makeup smudged, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. She didn't even look guilty, just annoyed, like she was about to deliver an inconvenience rather than a confession. She stood in the doorway, hands on hips, and said, word for word, I'm leaving you for your boss. He's a real man, unlike you in turn. I looked at her for a long second. My pulse didn't even spike. Then I said, as calmly as if I were commenting on the weather, I wish you the very best of luck with your future plans, Anna. She blinked, thrown off. That's it. You're not going to fight for me. I smiled. No, I'm not. She stormed out, muttering something about how I'd regret this when I realized what I'd lost. The door closed. The apartment went quiet. I sat down, finished my tea, and checked my calendar. I had an early meeting the next morning, a board review. Alan would be presenting quarterly metrics to my father and the executive team, and I would be there, sitting next to my father, in my actual seat. The next morning, I put on a tailored suit I hadn't worn since my father's birthday dinner. It felt different. He'd always said, never dress for the job you have. Dress for the one you own. When I arrived at the office, Alan was already there, laughing too loudly in the hallway, the same artificial confidence that made him think the world revolved around him. He didn't even acknowledge me as I walked by, just a dismissive, hey, kid, grab me a coffee before the meeting, will you? I nodded. Of course. He didn't realize the meeting was taking place on the top floor, my floor, and that the seat next to my father was reserved for me. When the time came, I stepped into the executive boardroom. Alan was standing near the screen, prepping his slides. My father was seated at the head of the table, along with the other department heads. Alan did a quick double take when he saw me enter from the opposite door, the one reserved for board members. I think the intern's presentation is next week, he stammered. My father smiled faintly. He's not here as an intern today, Alan. That silence, it was glorious. I took my seat beside my father, opened my notebook, and said calmly, please, continue your presentation. I'm eager to see how my department has been performing. Alan's hands shook so slightly you could almost miss it. But I didn't. The rest of the meeting was exactly what you'd expect. Numbers, projections, awkward stammering, and the slow realization spreading through the room. When it ended, my father looked at me and said, you'll be taking over operations next quarter. I trust you've learned enough from your mentorship. Alan turned pale. After the meeting, I walked out, past the front desk, and there she was. Anna. sitting in the lobby, in a red dress, nervously scrolling through her phone. She looked up and froze when she saw me walking out beside the CEO, my father. She blinked like her brain couldn't process what she was seeing. What are you doing with him?" she asked. I smiled softly. "Just finishing my internship." Alan came out seconds later, looking like a ghost. He stopped when he saw her. The color drained from both their faces. They didn't even speak. I just gave her a polite nod and said, "Good luck, Anna." I meant that. Then I walked past them, out into the sunlight. That was the last time I saw either of them. For a while, anyway. Update 1. It's been about 6 months since that day in the boardroom. Honestly, life has been peaceful. Strangely peaceful. I moved into a new apartment downtown. Minimalistic, all glass and steel, nothing like the cluttered place Anna and I used to share. The quiet felt heavy at first, but after a while, I realized silence is underrated. My father retired officially 2 months ago, and I took over as COO. There were articles in local business journals, the young executive who learned from the ground up. None of them mentioned the internship twist, obviously. That was between me, Alan, and Karma. Or so I thought. Last Friday, I attended a corporate charity gala. It was one of those events where everyone wears the same black tux and the same fake smile. I almost skipped it. But my fiancée, Clara, yes, that Clara, the CEO's daughter, insisted we go. She loves those things. Halfway through the evening, as I was talking to a few investors near the bar, I heard her voice. "Anis, you know how sometimes your body reacts before your brain does?" My spine straightened, heartbeat quickened, and I turned before I even knew why. She was there, standing a few feet away, next to Alan. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. His suit didn't fit him right anymore. Stress weight, maybe. Anna looked different. The kind of different that comes from regret, not reinvention. She noticed me first. Her eyes widened, and she did that forced half-smile people do when they're trying to pretend everything's fine. "Oh my God, hi," she said softly, like we were old friends bumping into each other at the grocery store. "Hi," I replied. Just that. Nothing else. Clara joined me then, radiant, confident, completely unaware of who Anna was. She greeted them politely, asked Alan what department he worked in. Alan mumbled something about consulting, which was a lie. I knew for a fact he'd been demoted to a regional branch 3 months ago. Anna kept glancing between Clara and me, putting the pieces together. When Clara introduced herself with her last name, the same as mine, now that we were engaged, I saw the exact moment Anna's face went pale. "Wait, you two." Clara smiled. "Yes, we're getting married in December." Alan coughed. Anna's wine glass trembled slightly in her hand. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Later that night, when Clara and I were leaving, I caught Anna alone near the coat room. She looked at me, eyes red, voice trembling. "Did you know, back then, when I said that you were leaving me for a real man?" I finished for her. "Yeah, I remember. I didn't mean." "You did. It's okay." She exhaled shakily, like she wanted to say more but couldn't find the words. So I spared her the struggle. "I really do wish you the best, Anna. But some doors don't just close. They lock." Then I walked away. That was the last conversation we ever had. Or at least, I thought it would be. Because this morning, my assistant forwarded me an email. From Alan. The subject line, "Urgent. Need to discuss something regarding Anna." Final update. I didn't open Alan's email right away. It sat in my inbox for 3 days, unread, like a ghost knocking at the door I'd already sealed shut. Eventually, curiosity won. It was short, just a few sentences. "Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I thought you should know Anna's been going through a lot. She's in the hospital. She asked for you. I don't know why, but I figured I should tell you. Alan." I read it twice, maybe 3 times. No attachments. No dramatic explanations. Just that. For a few hours, I sat in my office staring at the city skyline. I wasn't angry. Not sad either. Mostly numb. Like the past was reaching a hand out, asking if I still recognized it. I didn't. Still, I went. It was a small hospital on the edge of town, not one of those gleaming private ones. Alan was in the hallway when I arrived, thinner, quieter. His arrogance had burned off, leaving only a kind of exhausted humility. He didn't say much, just nodded toward the door. "She wanted to talk to you," he said. Anna looked fragile, not dying, but close to breaking. There was an 4 in her arm, and her hair was pulled back carelessly, her face pale, and tired. You came, she whispered. I nodded. You asked. For a moment, she smiled. You always were kind. Then she hesitated. I didn't deserve that. I didn't respond. Just listened. She told me everything. About how Alan had promised her a new life. How it had all fallen apart when his career tanked after my promotion. How she tried to leave him but was too ashamed to come home. How she'd been working 2 jobs just to keep up rent after he moved out. At one point, she said something that stuck with me. You were never the weak one. I was. I just couldn't stand being ordinary next to you. I didn't know what to say. There's no right sentence for something like that. So I just said, I hope you get better. Before I left, she asked if I ever loved her. Of course I did, I said. But that version of us doesn't exist anymore. And I walked out. I haven't heard from her or Alan since. But a few weeks ago, I got a letter, not email, not text. Handwritten. From Anna. She thanked me. Said she was starting therapy, getting her life together. She didn't ask for anything. Just said she wanted to say sorry one last time. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. It's strange, the way life folds in on itself. I used to think closure meant confrontation, or revenge, or proving someone wrong. But it's quieter than that. It's just waking up one day, realizing you don't replay the argument in your head anymore. Clara and I got married last month. It was small, just family, close friends, no press. My father gave a toast and said, sometimes the hardest lessons are the ones that build us the best foundations. He was right, because now, when I think back to that kid, the intern who stood in the corner of an office while his girlfriend flirted with his boss, I don't feel pity anymore. I feel gratitude. He learned something most people never do. You don't need to destroy someone to move on. Sometimes, you just have to let them collapse under the weight of their own choices and keep walking. And so I did.